Are dragons real, and is there any historical evidence for the existence of dragons? Let's talk about it. Virtually every civilization and culture has talked about the existence of dragons in myths and legends. You can find stories of dragons everywhere. Here's just a list of dragons in mythologies and folklore. You got Asian dragons, European dragons, North American dragons, South American dragons, African dragons. Stories of them are everywhere. My belief is that there's always a little bit of truth to every myth and legend. It would be very easy to dismiss if just one culture was talking about dragons. But they all mention dragons in one way, shape, or form. Not only are dragons mentioned in mythologies and stories and legends, but there are apparent historical accounts. Dragon encounters recorded by historical figures. Dragons were recorded by ancient secular writers such as Alexander the Great, Marco Polo, Josephus, Gaius Solinus, Herodotus, St. George, Ulysses, Henry, Flavius, St. John of Damascus, and many others. These military leaders and historians are considered as historically accurate and highly reliable. How could these highly respected ancient historians have recorded details of dragons with such accuracy thousands of years before paleontology was even imagined? Why are all their writings considered as historical fact except the parts that contain the mythological dragons? Very good point. I'm going to talk about two accounts from these historians. The first historical account of dragons that I'm going to talk about is Alexander the Great. Alexander has created one of the largest empires of the ancient world in a little over a decade. So he was an ancient military leader of Macedonia and conqueror, making one of the biggest empires in recorded history. Alexander the Great in 330 BC, after Alexander the Great invaded India, he brought back reports of seeing a great hissing dragon living in a cave, which people were worshipping as gods. One of Alexander the Great's lieutenants stated that the Indian king Absaris kept serpents that were 120 and 210 feet long. Subsequent Greek rulers are said to have brought a dragon back alive from Ethiopia. So this is actual written down historical accounts of what Alexander the Great was seeing. Either he actually saw a giant serpent or he just made it up for clout. When Alexander the Great threw some parts of India into commotion and took possession of others, he encountered many other animals, a serpent which lived in a cavern and was regarded as sacred by the Indians, who paid a great and superstitious reverence. Accordingly, Indians went to all lengths imploring Alexander to permit nobody to attack the serpent. And he assented to their wish. Now as the army passed by the cavern and caused the noise, the serpent was aware of it. It has, the sharpest hearing and the keenest sight of all animals. And it hissed and snorted so violently that all were terrified and confounded. It was reported to measure 70 cubits. That's a big boy. Marco Polo also talked about dragons during his visit to China. Marco Polo, leaving the city of Yachi and traveling 10 days in a westerly direction, you reach the province of Karzan, which is also the name of the chief city. Here are seen huge serpents 10 paces in length, about 30 feet. Girth of the body at the forepart near the head, and they have 2 short legs, having 3 claws like those of a tiger. Check out part